Hello, I'm John Fabizeski, Certified Recovery Specialist for the All One Recovery Educational Institute here at Luzerne County Community College. So a CRS, what does a Certified Recovery Specialist do? What do they look like when they're at work? What are some of the things that might help you moving forward becoming a Certified Recovery Specialist? Now, we're all in recovery, and we want to give that experience, that strength, that hope to the peer that comes in and meets with us and requests our services. I want you first and foremost to think of a peer as a peer, not as a client, not as a participant, but as a peer on an equal level. We want to assume no position of power over the individual. We want to build that relationship. We do that through first having a meeting to build rapport. Our first meeting shouldn't be all about paperwork. It shouldn't be all about signatures and finding out how to assist the person. It should be about sharing some of your own experience in recovery. Now, this doesn't mean sharing your particular pathway or sharing how to get to recovery. I know that sounds contradictory to the job that you're taking, but you want that person to have an individual understanding of recovery. Now, this comes with understanding multiple pathways. It comes with understanding all pathways, that would be 12-step, smart recovery, all recovery, refuge recovery, life ring. All of these different pathways, the CRS should be well versed in all of the cultures of those pathways, but also all of the programs themselves. That way we can best assist the person. Now, this sounds kind of complicated. Well, here's where we make it a little bit easier. Every CRS should do a strength-based assessment. Now, this assessment does not happen in the first 15 minutes or the first session with someone. It can happen in the second. It can happen in the middle. It could happen when you feel it comfortable enough to begin taking the assessment with the individual. Most billing services like to see that within the first 3 sessions. So what we call this assessment is a recovery capital assessment. It is a strength-based assessment. I use one that was set forth by William White. William White talks about the value of recovery capital. Now, what is recovery capital? Recovery capital are the strengths and the things that you have that build your resiliency. So one might have a job. One might have strong belief in church and a good church group. One might be strong ties to the community. These are strengths. We can use these strengths through this strength-based assessment to help bring up the issues that may be lacking. So we understand that balance in recovery is very important. Understanding how to keep that balance and maintain it is taking a look at your strengths to bring up what might be bringing you down. So through this assessment, we look at things like global health, physical health, risk-taking, health and well-being, housing and safety, employment. Looking at all these different aspects of life and all these areas of life and where they're lacking, the individual then starts to get an understanding for themselves that this might be an issue. So when we're looking at a recovery capital assessment, and for this video, we will say, one of the questions is, I have no near thoughts about relapsing. So this might be a low score. The scoring goes 1 to 5. 1 meaning not at all, 2 somewhat true, 3 pretty much true, 4 very much true, and completely true. Now, someone may say 3. So you score this, move forward, keep going through the assessment, and then you can start to go back. And we can start with our first goal by asking the individual, building their individualized recovery plan. So you said you had some thoughts about relapse. Can we talk about that more? The individual may talk about their home. They may talk about stresses in their life. And then coming from that, we can start to build goals. So something might be stressing them out, which is giving them a thoughts towards relapse. So we move to a recovery capital plan. So this plan is individualized. Again, comes from the person. So we can say, what are some of the things you think we could do to help you with this? Or what are things I could assist you as well to do in meeting this goal? So the objective might be that it's stressful at home, that I cannot get time for my studies if they're a student, and I can't get my work done because I don't have the time there. I have to go somewhere else. So we start looking into questions like, so where do you think you might be able to go instead of studying at home to get those things done? So the individual would probably name off a few places and say, do you think that would be something that could help you? And the individual obviously would say yes. So we would begin to set goals. Now, that goal would be, so maybe it's a library, maybe it's a neighbor's house, maybe it's time at the library here at school, maybe it's somewhere else, a relative's house, so they could get this studying done so those pressures weren't upon them. And so the services and interventions that the CRS would do would be to then follow up with them, to check in to make sure that they're following their plan for studying. Now, it seems weird that you would say, oh, well, what's studying have to do with a reoccurrence of use? Well, if you're all here in class, you know that stress from taking college courses may increase those thoughts or those cravings. And we want to sort through that stuff too. You know, is it stress that's causing this? Is it a craving that's causing this? And we can see here that it's stress. Stress leading to thoughts of want to relapse. So how do we reduce that? How do we set those goals? We do that by building the recovery plan. Once we have the goals in there, we'll have a frequency and a target date. And I'll check in with the individual. I'll call them up or I'll have them in and say, okay, so last time that we met, your plan was to start studying from the library here at school or at your aunt's house. And how is that working out for you? We'll then decide if the goal has been met, achieved, or if it needs reinforcing to help the person. Now, a person can have multiple goals at the same time. It's not just one goal. They can have tons of goals. When you come here to the college, we've built an individualized success plan, much like the recovery plan, to help you keep that life balanced. At the end of the session, end of building the goals, there is a sign line, the signature of the participant, and the signature from the staff member, such as myself, the CRS. And then these goals will then go into their file. So it reminds the CRS that I need to make these calls, I need to do this. Now here comes the important piece. The CRS can only bill through their note-taking, when notes are about 75% of your job. And I know this sounds daunting for some of you, paperwork. But I want to say that insurance companies currently only medical assistance bills for CRS services. There are some other outside insurance companies or private organizations you might work for that do this as well. But the bulk of CRS is billed through medical assistance. And medical assistants, when they come in to do an audit of your charts, they want it to read like a story. They want to see that follow and that flow. So you're connecting the recovery capital assessment to the recovery plan in your note. So when you're making a note, you want to say, as a result of, or as evidenced by, their low score about reoccurrence of use or relapse, layman's terms, we want to use clear, concise language in our notes, was low. Upon discussion, we then decided to set goals of having time to study outside the home, which was giving those thoughts and cravings. So you're evidencing something in the note by what has been found in the session. You'll talk about what your goals are and what your responsibilities are. And this will follow and flow for the individual. Again, this is a highly individualized process. You are there to be the role model for recovery, to be that recovery coach and that person to encourage them along their goals. So you do that by holding them accountable, by being there in their corner and cheering for them. Now, once the recovery plan is completed, these can change. Again, I'll go back to, you have multiple goals. You can then, a few weeks into your sessions, begin doing the assessments again. Or you have that rapport built so you're able to talk about different areas of the person's life and you're able to figure out what might be bringing them down and what is really strong and what is really working for them. Being a recovery coach or certified recovery specialist in the state of Pennsylvania over the last 4 years has taught me that I am here to serve the individual. It's not about me. Very often we can bring too much of ourselves into a situation. I have a system. So 10 minutes before a session with anyone, I take a minute to clear my head, to clear my thoughts. We all have those nagging things that might be going on in life and happening to us. But we must remember when we're meeting with our peers that it's not about us. If we're discussing something that makes us feel a certain way that happened to us in the past, we have to make sure we're maintaining the focus on the individual. We don't want to overshare or be revealing too much of our story, because then we make it about us. And they see us as a miracle, or that we use that language in different rooms, that I'm a miracle or I've accomplished these great things. Again, it's not about you. Setting the bar as you are a miracle assumes a position of power over someone that they may not believe in miracles. I am not a miracle. I'm the product of publicly funded treatment, went through a treatment court program, and got the privilege of becoming a CRX. There was no intervention or divine intervention in my life to make me a miracle. Without taking these steps and these actions, I would not be where I am today. And I can think a lot of you can say that as well. It's about action. And the recovery plan is taking action in your recovery. I hope that I've answered your questions today, and I hope this video finds you well. Thank you.